Maryland underwater. Flash flooding strikes the area. Severe thunderstorms roll through tonight. A flash flood warning is in place for central Maryland and will remain until 4 a.m. Take a look at some of the flooding sent by WJZ viewers. This right here from Woodstock, Maryland has turned into a river, that road right there. And you can see people are trying to get their cars unstuck. And complete coverage continues. George Solis is live in Ellicott City with more on this flash flooding. George.
Good evening, Marcus. Right now, some of the water has started to recede, but hours ago here on Main Street, water flooded these streets. Courtney Wetland sharing this dramatic video of water so high in Ellicott City, one man had to be carried to safety.
Insane, and it was a flash flood, and I literally came here. I thought we were going to have dinner within 5 minutes. It was panic, and my friend was pulling someone out of there, and I've never seen anything like it.
This man telling WJZ the water got so high, cars were swept away.
It started coming through pretty heavy. The water got up right about where we were standing here. It would have been about waist high on me right here.
To give you an idea of how intense these flood waters were, take a look behind me. You can see that some of these cars actually washed into others, and if that isn't bad enough, take a look down here. You can see a car actually into this channel, and even worse still, this car completely totaled.
Right now we have on the phone County Executive Alan Kettleman. And Alan, what can you tell us about what's going on right now?
Quite a bit of property damage with vehicles and buildings, but fortunately no serious injuries. So we're focusing now mostly on making sure people are okay. We have set up a shelter at the Roger Carter Center, which is in Ellicott City, so individuals in Ellicott City will know where that is.
The Orioles are still waiting to hear the punishment for Manny Machado after a bench-clearing brawl at the yard, and a fellow player says he will personally pay any fine Machado gets. Machado also faces possible suspension after charging the mound, a move that sent both teams running onto the field. Rick Ritter has reaction from Machado, Buck Showalter, and fans.
Nightmare on wheels. A hit and run in Fells Point leaves a woman in serious condition. The shocking video and more on the suspect charged.
The horrifying scene of a woman being run over by a van is caught on tape. This all happening in front of a crowd of people in Fells Point early this morning. WJZ is live in Fells Point. Amy Incy with more on what led to the incident. Amy.
Marcus, police say this driver may have been fearing for his life, but say there's absolutely no justification for what he did. And if you look down here, you can actually still see the tire marks of where in his van he jumped the curb and then hit that woman.
Mass murder in Orlando. A gunman opens fire in a gay nightclub. Dozens are dead, and the death toll is expected to rise. Complete coverage of the deadliest mass shooting in modern-day U.S. history.
Massacre in Orlando. A gunman opened fire on a crowd of people inside a gay nightclub. 50 people are confirmed dead and 53 are injured. It's so hard to comprehend this senseless act of violence. It's the deadliest massive shooting in modern-day U.S. history. Who is the gunman and why did he do it? WJZ is live from Orlando with Craig Boswell. Craig, what can you tell us?
From our vantage point, we can see investigators bringing bags out of the nightclub, placing them into vans, driving them to the medical examiner's office. Families are beginning to slowly learn the fate of their loved ones.
WJZ's complete coverage of the massacre in Orlando continues. George Solis is live with more on the controversy that's growing around thousands of people wanting to donate blood to help those injured. George.
Today, we begin with breaking news. Deadly terrorist attacks in Brussels, Belgium. Bombs exploded at the airport and one of the city's metro stations, killing more than 36 people. WJZ has complete coverage. We begin with Tina Kraus.
Armed police are on high alert across Brussels, and Belgium's foreign minister is warning authorities fear more suspected terrorists may be on the run in the city.
WJZ's complete coverage continues with Mike Hsu live with how these attacks are affecting security here in the U.S. Mike.
Well, there's no direct threat. Maryland Transit is now on a heightened level of awareness.
All right, Mike, thank you. And just a short time ago, President Obama spoke about the terror attacks from Cuba. Amy Yensi is in the newsroom with the details. Amy?
Well, as President Obama delivered remarks this morning in Havana, the president and his family are currently in Cuba on a historic visit. He was scheduled to address the Cuban people, but first he acknowledged the brutal attacks on Brussels.
For complete coverage of the Brussels terror attacks, we will continue to bring you the very latest developments on Eyewitness News at 4, 5, and 6.
We are following breaking news this morning out of Montgomery
Montgomery County, a deadly crash involving 3 high school students. Officials say the overnight crash happened after 11:30 p.m. in Damascus on Burt Hill Road. The pickup carrying 3 teenagers ages 17 and 18 struck a tree head-on. A vigil is held for a man shot and killed in Fells Point over the weekend. Family and friends remember the life of the 26-year-old lifeguard. WJZ and Mike Shu are live with the plea for answers. Good morning, Mike.
Well, good morning, Lynn. Good morning, everyone. Tough night for the family of Dominic Dungy as they met here in this block last night and pleaded for help.
Dominic was coming. He didn't deserve this. I hope whoever they did this, turn yourself in.
Lifeguard, father, and friend gunned down in Fells Point.
How could someone take such a nice person? He was one of the nicest guys I knew.
Police say Dungy was shot just before midnight Saturday along South Broadway. They believe he got into an argument with an unknown suspect before the shooting. Local business owners say that they heard the gunshots outside.
I heard 2 shots, but I really thought it was fireworks.
His family devastated.
Very upset and very sad about it. Just been trying to stay busy, and try to stay strong for everyone else.
Dungy was a lifeguard in the city since he was 14 years old. He resigned from the job about a month ago. Friends say he planned to get his GED and join the Navy to provide for a better life for his son.
He lived his life for his son and his mom.
There's thought that someone may have shot the shooting on their cell phone. They're pleading for anybody with such information to come forward.
If you're out there, please turn the footage in. If you want to do it anonymously, that's fine. We just want to find out, who murdered my brother for no reason.
This weekend, there will be a Twilight fundraiser at the Patterson Park pool. All of the proceeds will go to his family. I'm Mike Shu, WJZ Eyewitness News, reporting live in Fells Point. Lynn, back to you.
Mike, thank you. Funeral arrangements are scheduled for next week. In just a few hours, the trial will begin for Officer Caesar Goodson, who's accused in the death of Freddie Gray. But first, the judge will hold a hearing. According to our media partner, the Baltimore Sun, Goodson's lawyers claim prosecutors withheld key information from the man who was inside the police van with Gray during the final 2 stops. Officer Goodson is the only one of 6 officers charged with murder. He was driving the police van through West Baltimore in April last year when Gray suffered the severe spinal injury. WJZ and Mike Shu are live at Courthouse East with details on these last-minute motions. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning, Lynn. Good morning, everyone. Goodson's attorneys plan to ask that all charges be dismissed. And if that happens, it will be over how prosecutors handled a potential witness, a man I spoke with a year ago. These 11-hour filings revolve around Donta Allen, the second man who was placed inside the police transport van after prosecutors say Gray was severely injured. I was the first to speak with Allen about what he heard. He told investigators that Gray was thrashing around inside the van, but later publicly recanted that statement. Donta Allen's attorneys contacted Goodson's attorneys last week, saying that the state had concealed a meeting that they had with Allen over a year ago. But prosecutors dismissed the meeting with Allen, saying it produced no evidence because Allen was consistent with his inconsistence. Goodson's trial will begin after this hearing. Experts say it will all boil down to whether the judge believes Officer Goodson chose to ignore Gray's injuries and did not care if he lived or died.
The state has to prove beyond a reasonable doubt all the elements of all these charges, and that's not easy to do.
The most serious charge against Goodson is second-degree depraved heart murder.
It's simply a form of murder where the state has to prove that a defendant acted with an extreme indifference to human life.
Goodson was the only one of the 6 never to give a statement to police. The likelihood of whether or not he will testify depends upon the strength of the prosecution.
Did Officer Goodson know that Freddie Gray needed emergency medical assistance? And 2, was his failure to provide that emergency medical help the cause of Freddie Gray's death?
Donta Allen is now in jail. He was listed as a potential witness in the first trial, but was not called by either side. Everything gets underway this morning at 9:30 here. I'm Mike Shu, WJZ Eyewitness News, reporting live downtown. Lynn, back to you.
Mike, thank you. Stay with WJZ for complete coverage of the Freddie Gray case. We'll bring you all the developments from Courthouse East as Officer Caesar Goodson's trial begins in a few hours.